So I'm getting ready to go in to see The Bad Guys, and I know this review is very, very late because this movie's been out for quite a while, but I only just now got the opportunity to go and see it. So I didn't know that this movie was based on a book series, so that's interesting to know. And the trailers at first didn't really do much for me. I was like, oh, okay, that looks okay. Nothing that I'm going to rush out to go see, which apparently I didn't go rush out to see it. But then as I started to watch the trailers more, it became more and more interesting. And my wife got interested in going to see it. So I thought, oh, okay, another movie we can enjoy together. Well, she's not here with me. I wanted to see it. So that's what I'm doing now. So I don't really have any expectations for this movie. I am not like, it's got to be up here or it's going to suck. I'm just looking to have a fun time, an interesting story, good animation, good voice casting. That's really all I want. So, not a great movie, not a terrible movie. That's the movie I'm looking for. If it exceeds my expectations, fantastic. But let's get out of the car and let's go see this movie. I'll let you know what it's like when I come out. Have you ever been by yourself in a movie theater? Or let's even say with a friend or two, and it's just you in the theater. And you're like, okay, this is going to be great. We can do whatever we want. If we want to talk during the movie, we can. If we want to just watch the movie, fine. We don't have anybody disturbing us. Well, I almost had that. This close. I was this close to having that experience watching this movie. Until right before it started, a family comes in to watch it. And I know it was an animated film, younger kids would like it, but I totally disagree with the idea that animation's only for kids. Just saying. There's plenty of great animation that I love. But they walk in, the grandmother's on her phone at the beginning, the kids are talking throughout. I just don't like that. That's annoying. Now, trying to push that aside and just thinking about the movie itself, it was okay. It was definitely that middle ground film that I was pretty much expecting it to be. I think it was a little bit lower on the totem pole than I was hoping. I was hoping for a few more laughs than what I got. I was hoping for, I guess, a more entertaining story than I got. But let's start with the positives. The first positive I want to say is the cast is really good. I looked them up after the movie, and I was surprised by how many of these I should have known, and how many of them I'm like, I should probably know you, but I don't. So Sam Rockwell plays Wolf. Fantastic. I mean, he was just great. Good voice for that character. He really played the personality of the character well. Yeah, it was a good choice. And it was clear he was having fun, especially considering the types of movies we've seen him in the past couple of years, you know, the more serious Oscar-type films. Clearly here he was able to have some fun, and I could tell that he was enjoying that. Then you had people like Mark Maron, you had Craig Robinson, Anthony Ramis, I hope I'm pronouncing all these names right, and you had Awkwafina, which I loved her. I loved her as Spider, or as they called her, Webs, which kind of gave me a little bit of a chuckle thinking about it because they've called Spider-Man Webs before. Just saying. And then you had Richard Ayoade. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. You had Zazie Beetz, which was great. I loved her character. Her character and their interaction between her and Wolf was fantastic. I really liked their chemistry. I know that's weird to say for an animated film, but I think these actors worked well off each other, and that translated well into the film. But the one that surprised me, and I'm like, how did I not realize that was her, was the chief of the police department, was Alex Borstein. Again, hopefully I'm saying that right. Timmy, otherwise known as Lois from Family Guy. So I was kind of surprised I didn't pick up on that. But she was being her crazy, out there self. She really just put all her energy into the chief, was clearly having fun, like I've said many times. This was a movie that I feel like the whole cast was just able to let themselves go. There was really no rules except, don't swear, don't curse, because it's a kids' film and we can't have that. Be PG. But clearly they were having fun, and for the members of the cast that have kids, I feel like they partly did this for them, so they could have a good time at the theaters themselves, or have a good time watching a movie that they were in their kids could go to. Who knows? Maybe that's just me hoping or thinking that that's what they were considering. Who knows? Maybe it was just for the paycheck. You never know. But I just thought the cast overall, they did well. They made this movie entertaining. They delivered their lines well. The humor, for the most part, hit pretty well. And yeah, they definitely found their stride, and the movie had no problems when it came to the casting. The animation. I like the animation. Now, I will say Wolf's design and his animation was a little jarring because it felt different than the other ones, the other characters and the backgrounds. But eventually, you just got used to it. But what I like about this animation was it felt a little bit different. It kind of had that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse feel, where it's an animation style and it's brand new and it throws you for a loop for a little bit. Excuse me. And it's a little jarring, but eventually you're like, oh, I love this animation style. This is great. This works. This style wasn't as far out there as Spider-Verse was, but it was interesting. And I looked it up later on, at least the books anyway, and I have a feeling they're probably black and white drawings. I'm not exactly sure because I didn't look at the books themselves. I just looked at the covers. But the animation looks like it could have been drawn in a book. It looks like it could have been pulled right out of a book, animated and brought to life. And I really liked it. I liked that style of having to feel like, oh, I'm reading a book or I'm watching a book as it's coming to life. And maybe how you're picturing it in your head, because you see the images on the page, and those characters is how you start to imagine them in your head as you're listening to the story on audio, somebody reading it, or as you're reading it yourself. So I really liked that. Then there were some mixed aspects of this film. The humor was hit or miss. There were times where I'm like, okay, I'm sure that's supposed to be funny, but it's not really grabbing me. The runtime is an hour and 40 minutes, which is a good length. But I will admit, by the end of it, it started to drag, and I felt like they could have ended it sooner. Though I understand why they didn't, based on scenes that kept moving forward. But I also feel like maybe you could have shaved another 10 minutes off somewhere. I wasn't a huge fan of the whole breaking the fourth wall where the wolf is telling you the story and introducing you to the characters. This is something that just seems to be done all over the place now. Ever since Deadpool hit it out of the park with that type of storytelling, that type of narrative, even though it had been done before, it was Deadpool, I believe, that really made it mainstream, made it a mainstay that people wanted to imitate that. And that probably is how the books are. It's probably the wolf telling the stories, which is great, and it's fine for the books. But it kind of felt out of place here in this movie, especially because it seemed a little sporadic. It was at the beginning, it was at the end, and a little bit here and there, with maybe 3 major parts where he was talking directly to the audience, breaking the fourth wall. Like I said, the beginning, the end, and like a part in the middle. It just didn't really feel like it worked, or they needed to do more with it, or they needed to just drop it. They needed to do something with it. I don't know what, but they needed to do something with it. And now moving on to what I didn't really like about the film. Honestly, I didn't really like the plot. And here's the thing. Again, I know it's the books, and this is probably how stuff happened in the books. In general, yes, I found it entertaining. I liked it. But by the time they introduced the bad guy, right away I'm like, okay, that person's the bad guy, and here's the trajectory of the story. Without even having read the novels or the books themselves, I could predict, at least on a very basic level, where the story was going to go. Now, that's not to say that there weren't some surprises, but I also think that I could have easily probably figured those things out if I had been looking for them, or if I had really thought about it. Whether that was how they got out of a certain situation, how they got into a certain situation. Well, I guess they would show us how they got into the situation, but how they got out of certain situations and how things got rolling in the story that you didn't know early on. But some of that was surprising because I was just trying to focus on enjoying the movie. But that one nitpick, that one fact that I could tell from the very beginning, oh, that guy or girl or whoever, that character is the bad guy. And that carried with me through the whole movie. It was just nagging me in the back of my head like, okay, we know they're the bad guy. Let's reveal it already. Reveal that they're the bad guy and the bad guys are the good guys. Come on. Come on. Like, usually that stuff doesn't bother me. And generally, it wouldn't here. But for some reason, this time, it just kept nagging at the back of my head. And it was driving me crazy. And if a movie, an animated movie especially, does that to me, it's not great. It's not going to be fantastic because I don't usually get nagging things in the back of my head, or I don't have little things that bother me as much. With movies anyway, that distract me like this did. And I don't know why. I guess it was just, we know, you made it obvious. This is how the story's going to go. But that being said, I will say some great action moments. I love how this opens right away with an action scene, with a car chase, which you've seen parts of in the trailer. I thought the overall story was good, even though there were those couple moments that I just either couldn't handle and wanted them to be resolved, or just was like, okay, I see what's coming. But I think the biggest thing for me was it just wasn't as funny as I thought it would be. I don't know why. I don't even think the trailers really made it out to be that funny. But there was something about it that just didn't live up to the trailer. It wasn't as funny. I didn't have as good a time as I thought I would based on the trailers. But like I said, with that, all that being said, it's generally a fine movie. It's fun. It's not one that I'm going to never want to watch again. It's not one that I can say, you shouldn't see this. This movie's terrible. Never go see it. Because there's plenty of good things in it. Kids will definitely like it. And if I watch it again, or when I watch it again sometime down the line, because I know my wife will want to watch it, I won't have a problem with it. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's just not, it's not breaking any new ground. If it is breaking new ground, the only thing I could think of might be the animation style a little bit, but that's stretching it. What saves this movie, like I said, is probably definitely the cast. If the cast clearly wasn't having fun, if the animation wasn't unique, I don't think this movie would have been as good. But yeah, overall it's enjoyable. So I think I'm going to give this movie a ranking of Civilian. Because Civilian is right down the middle, pretty much. And there's plenty of stuff to enjoy in this movie. It's a fun, entertaining movie. But it also has plenty of shortcomings that I can't say you need to see it, rush out to see it, buy it. It's just an okay movie that if it's on TV or if you want to see it, you're not going to regret it. But like I said, it's not a movie you have to go see right now. But what did you think? Have you seen this movie already since this review is late? And if so, what did you think about it? Have you read the books? If so, let me know how close the movie was to the books. Did they cover like books, just the first one, or was it 1, 2, and 3, like I've heard, possibly? Whatever the case, let me know down below in the comments. Or after my review, are you going to see this movie now? Whatever the case, let me know. And as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.